What is the AI revolution? AI and the Renaissance. The radical innovations happening with artificial intelligence pose to us deep questions. What is intelligence? What is consciousness? What impacts will AI have on society? Is it dangerous? What opportunities are awaiting us? Though in ways unlike anything we have encountered before, there are insights we can find in the past to help navigate a way forward in the presence of AI. Let's go back in time about 500 years to the transformative European Renaissance. What Catholic Europe went through in this age can shed light on what we are experiencing today in the presence of AI. Like today, Catholic Europeans encountered new and rediscovered novel forms of intelligence. Let's look at 4 key forces in the Renaissance that parallel our world with AI today. First, Renaissance Europe encountered what was effectively a novel intelligence by opening a doorway to an ancient world. Rediscoveries and translations of ancient Roman and Greek literature illuminated lost ways of perceiving the world and humanity's place in it. Through scholarship and investigation, a lost world was revivified. The Greek epics of Homer, the Iliad, and the Odyssey were translated into readable Latin. Lost texts by brilliant Greek and Roman authors such as Aristotle and Cicero were found and copied for a growing network of scholars to study and integrate. This brought to life paradigms of what was effectively another intelligence: new politics, new architecture, new perspectives of humanity's place in the cosmos. Europeans encountered civilizations not only distant in time, but in space as well. The second force in the Renaissance world was unleashed by Christopher Columbus, who bridged Europe to the cultures of the Americas. These were new and unknown worlds inhabited by people embodying completely different paradigms. The cultures of the natives, such as the Inca and Aztec civilizations, challenged Europe with new languages, customs, arts, and forms of life that were effectively alien. Yes, they were human beings, and yet so different from the medieval mind from which Europe was emerging. People were enraptured and also horrified by the novel ideas, works of art, and cultural forms that were brought back from these expeditions. The Renaissance had its own radical new technology as well, the printing press. Before it, books took months or years to be made by hand, and this positioned literacy in an elite, restricted tier of society. Yet with its invention in the 1450s, hundreds of copies of books could be made in days or weeks. This led to an explosion of literacy, as vastly more written content could be produced and distributed cheaply to all. This fed a need in people to have authoritative texts such as the Bible translated from the original Latin into their own languages, such as English, German, Spanish, and French. Through this empowerment of education and expression, masses of society were able to forge new relationships with authority and purpose. The Renaissance was not without its military crises either. In 1453, one of the most illustrious cities of Christian civilization, Constantinople, was conquered by the rapidly expanding Ottoman Turks. Again, this was an encounter with a radically different paradigm and form of intelligence. Yet, this was unlike the encounters with the Americas, in that the Turkish presence was a militant and aggressive force arising along the borders of Christian civilization. Like today, it raised questions as to whether or not a culture could survive if it would be overrun. Would the Turks overrun Christian Europe? Will AI overrun human society today? So what lessons can we draw? The Renaissance world shifted through radical change. Some forms of thought were left behind while others blossomed. Genius flourished in the Renaissance, one of its most defining factors. Figures such as Leonardo da Vinci, Isabelle d'Este, Michelangelo, and Albrecht Dürer grew into their supreme abilities through education and practice. The new forms of thought flowing into Renaissance Europe opened worlds of the imagination to those with the courage to embrace new technologies and paradigms and work with them creatively. Today, we can challenge ourselves to study AI by engaging with it, learning about it, and directing it to create meaningful content. Michelangelo, for example, benefited from a first-rate education of his time. He mastered humanist and aesthetic principles and developed his own craft enough so that he could create work that both honored and surpassed that which had been done before. His sculptures such as David and the Pietà are a kind of dialogue with the intelligence and ideas of ancient Greece and Rome. Today, with AI, we can take up the challenge to engage with AI, creatively dialogue with it, and put it to use for fulfilling our own vision, our own purposes, in art, finance, medicine, and more. Those who most benefited and shined during the Renaissance faced courageously the new forms of intelligence flowing into their world. They were educated by it, engaged with it, and put it to a meaningful purpose. This we can all do with AI. Not only should we explore its capabilities, but remain rooted in our own humanness, our own wisdom. Like Leonardo, Michelangelo, and the many other Renaissance leaders, we must find a relationship with new forms of intelligence that both respects them, but also upholds our own integrity. From here, we can dialogue with AI from a place of wisdom and build a relationship with it that forges a new and better world.